Hello friends and welcome to Figure Study, where we're taking a look at that precious little bean that is Buzzworthy Bumblebee Origin Bumblebee. Because I'm the kind of blasphemous Transformers toy fan that doesn't really pay that much attention to most of the media, I only know the story behind this thing from other videos that I've watched. But yeah, apparently this is a figure that's based on the first episode of the G1 cartoon, I believe, where it showed them on Cybertron in their Cybertronian modes, and this was Bumblebee's Cybertronian mode that turned into a robot mode that looked exactly like his Earth robot mode, because 80s cartoon. But after, what, almost 40 years? After a very long time, we finally have an official toy of that Bumblebee. This figure comes with a lot of accessories. I'm not going to cover all of them because I don't cover accessories that much. I've got his little gun, we'll look at that, but that's about it. He does come with a jetpack, which doesn't really work for him, and the, whatever those sticks were called, like I think they were called control rods or something like that. He comes with 5 of those, but he can't actually hold them. You just kind of have to wedge them under his arms, and yeah, I'm just kind of leaving all that stuff off to the side. Now, before I go too much further, I do want to say thank you to Ridiculous Badger, which, by the way, great name. But yes, Ridiculous Badger on the Discord server hooked me up with this, which I greatly appreciate. So thank you very much for that, Ridiculous Badger. And yeah, this is just a fantastic little figure. It's not perfect by any means, but I absolutely adore it. Like, you can just tell looking at it right here that you've got multiple tones of yellow in different places, like up here and on these hinges here and stuff, and it's definitely off, which is a little bit of a shame. I feel like it would have been nice if they either didn't, like this whole section here is clear plastic. I feel like it would have been better if they didn't do that, and instead maybe just like painted this instead of painting this whole thing yellow, because then they could have made this in yellow plastic that matches the rest of this and then just painted this blue. I mean, it is a nice translucent blue though, and unlike the issue that I have with a lot of other Transformers figures that use translucent plastic for windshields, why this needs a windshield I don't know, but it's a darker tone, so you don't really see all the robot junk underneath, so I appreciate that. And it's also a really, really nice deep shade of blue. I really like that too. And it stands out really nicely on the yellow. I'm saying really a lot, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is Bumblebee's Cybertronian mode, and it is very cute. I think it's a really interesting shape, kind of like a pancake crossed with Samus Aran's ship from Metroid. I think it's neat that they also have little kind of thrusters on the back here. They molded that in and found a way to make it work. I like that. From the bottom, it is kind of, yeah. You can turn the head around so his face isn't just sticking out of the bottom there, but when I tried to do that, this central piece here would not sit flush. So, something to note if you do try to transform him by turning the head around, this is not going to sit right, and you're going to have this kind of unsightly gaps up along the corners here. I feel like if you ignore the robot mode head, he actually spreads out fairly well. Like, aside from that, there's nothing underneath here. Maybe the fists, maybe, but really there's nothing else underneath here that screams robot. So yeah, I don't know, I really like this. It's a really interesting kind of like 80s style, this is what we thought the future was going to look like design, where it's just like really, really almost unnervingly smooth, and just this kind of weird semi-natural but also unnatural shape. There's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of detailing. There is some panel work here and there that kind of meets up in a few places, but there's also lots and lots of panels elsewhere that just kind of throw off the detail lines. Like I said, the yellows are some different tones here and there, which is a bit of a shame. So really the main draw as far as like the deco goes on this is that striking blue windshield. You got the Autobot logo right there, and then this kind of grill thing here. So, with all of that stuff out of the way, let's do some quick size comparisons. I'm gonna need to readjust. Hang on a sec. Alright, here he is with the standard deluxe squad, and yeah, as has been the case with a lot of recent Bumblebees, he's being considered a deluxe class figure, and he is tiny. I don't necessarily have a problem with that because of all like the parts and paint and whatnot, and just the general awesomeness of this figure. Yes, hi. But it is worth noting he is definitely smaller than a standard deluxe. Okay, I need to adjust again. And I also have a cat on my lap. Astrid, please, honey. Pretty please. I'm not sure if her nomming is coming through on the microphone, but anyway, here is one G1 Bumblebee with a different G1 Bumblebee. And here he is with the duck tank. Okay, I need to transform this guy now, but I still have a cat on my lap and she is still nomming on my finger. So I'm probably going to cut out a couple minutes of video that you're never going to see because she just will not get off my lap right now. And here we have Origin Bumblebee in his robot mode, and yes, he does have a lot of kibble just kind of hanging off of him, particularly the legs and his back, but I don't care. This is such a fun little figure. Yes, he absolutely has a lot of kibble, and there's a lot of panels that just kind of fold up and sit off to the side. It is a shame that he's got all this stuff along the sides of his legs here, but I feel like given the size and the price point, this is actually an extremely good figure and a really good representation of that very specific Bumblebee. Because they managed to do that thing where you've got this alt mode that has no connection whatsoever, really, to his robot mode from the cartoon, and they made it work. They made his robot mode look like his Earth mode robot mode, but then the alt mode is this Cybertronian mode, so it's like you've got this extremely weird vehicle that turns into a robot that looks like he's made up of a VW bug. I just really appreciate how they managed to pull that off. Again, at this size and that price point, that's kind of miraculous, almost. I mean, maybe that's giving him too much credit, but it is really cool what they pulled off here. Now for the detailing, there's not a lot here because he is tiny, but it's here. Like the feet here, they're not exactly the fronts of the VW bug that we're used to seeing, but you can kind of see a similar shape here, and you've got the bumper. There aren't any headlights, but yeah, I think it's cool that they managed to get that shape and design for his feet, even though you don't actually get that in the vehicle mode. And then you've got, of course, like the kibble and stuff, but like there is some nice detailing in the shins and the thighs. And his torso's actually got a really nice amount of detail to it. I like the little kind of grid washboard abs thing that folds out when you transform him. And it's also really cool to me how his pelvis actually does make up part of the top of the vehicle mode. This is very neat use of parts to me, I guess. Just the fact that like some of his robot mode bits, like the sides of his feet and the pelvis and the very tip of his chest there, like those are visible in the vehicle mode. Really like what they did with the chest there, and I like that they painted all those windows blue to really make it look like more of a classic style Bumblebee. And again, I really appreciate how this actually becomes the nose section of the vehicle mode. That's just a nice touch. And then you've got some added molded detailing in the arms, a little bit here and there. For some reason, the insides of the forearms, like the inner part of the forearm, has some molded detail on it, but then the outer part really doesn't. And around the back, it's pretty much all kibble, but It's amazing how little the backpack bothers me when he's in robot mode. I thought it was going to be more obnoxious to me than it actually is, because really, I don't care. The colors are great. It's kind of typical Bumblebee flair, where you've got the black shoulders and biceps, yellow forearms, black fists, black shins, black thighs, a little bit of black in the midsection, lots and lots of yellow. It just works. The only real gripe I have with him in terms of like the coloring and the design and stuff, I really don't care about that kibble. Like, honestly, I do not care. The thing that disappoints me about this is what's going on right here. I really wish that this was like, I like that they painted the shins black, but this joint here kind of cutting into that shape is really jarring. I feel like if I could go in and just paint this section black, and maybe paint the insides here so that when you're looking at them from an angle, you just see black. I feel like if I could do that, it would bother me a lot less. So I might go and do that at some point, and if I do, I'll show you all how it turns out. That's really my only gripe in terms of the way his kibble is handled. As for the head, that's a great Bumblebee head. Like, it's typical Bumblebee. He's got his little smile. They actually, they did paint his eyes blue. The shape is great. It's just it's a really nice representation of Bumblebee. I really like what they did with the head. For his one accessory that I'm going over, here is his gun, and it's a standard little pew-pew gun with a little nubbin on the end for a blast effect part. On the box, this is silver, but when you get it, it's black, and I don't mind the fact that it's black. Like, it's still, when you put it in his hand, it gets the job done, but it does kind of blend in with the other black plastic on him, so I think I may, if I'm painting the shins, I may also end up painting this silver when I go into that, but we'll see. Anyway, let's do the articulation. Why not? I guess I'm going to start doing that now. See if I can still keep these videos under 45 minutes apiece. So his head is on a ball joint, but it's like you don't really get any tilt because of the shape of the head, but you can get some up and down and rotation. The arms can go out and rotate around. That rotation joint's rather stiff. Because of the transformation, you do kind of get a little bit of butterfly motion too, but it's only going to go to about there until the shape of the, like this little bit that kind of sticks in from the hood piece kind of blocks the rest of that motion. But you can get a little bit of a butterfly motion out of it. That's not bad. You get a full bicep swivel, a elbow bend that on this arm is a little bit over 90, so pretty darn good. And on this arm, I was going to say it might be different on the other arm, but both arms have those little tabs, so never mind. It's the same on both arms. You get waist rotation, and it looks really weird if you go too far because of the way that this is hinged back here. And I'm going to just move the backpack up to get that out of the way so we can look at the leg movement, which goes back that far, forward that far, out to the side. Get the thigh swivel. He has a double jointed knee, but it can really only bend about 90 degrees. The double joint is for the transformation, though if you unpeg this panel here, which pegs in the back of the calf there, if you unpeg that, then that should get you more of a bend. Yeah. If you unpeg that, you can bend that knee quite a bit, though it does look a little silly, but it's an option. And now the ankle. The ankle does not rotate, unfortunately, but it can go down and forward, and because it's on this kind of double hinge, you can go very forward or very down. And then you got more than 90 degrees of ankle tilt. So yeah, despite his diminutive size and I guess disappointing size and price, he's pretty darn posable. And like I said, he's just cool. He's a surprisingly cool looking Bumblebee, which is not something I would have expected to say for something based on the G1 representation of the character, especially one in that weird little vehicle mode that he had in that first episode. But anyway, I think I'm going to have to raise this. Okay, there we go. I think we're ready for size comparisons now. Yes, I guessed right. Awesome. So here he is with the standard deluxe squad, and yeah, he is absolutely tiny for a deluxe. I don't know if they're officially calling him a deluxe, but he's in that same general size as like the Netflix Siege Bumblebee. Here's G1 Bumblebee with the other G1 Bumblebee. And now for our teaser. Next video, going to be looking at a figure that I got a fair little bit ago and have been wanting to talk about, but just haven't really been able to put the time aside to talk about him. But yeah, next video. That's what we get to look forward to. That's what's coming up next. And here he is with the duck tank. Okay, that does it for Buzzworthy Bumblebee Origin Bumblebee. I didn't think I was going to be super into this figure. I thought it looked neat, and I thought it was interesting from the perspective of like being some kind of little curio, based on the fact that this is not a toy that we've ever gotten in any real definitive capacity officially. But once I got him in hand, which again, thank you to Ridiculous Badger for that, I was shocked by how much I really like this guy. He's absolutely imperfect. He's got these weird gaps in his shins that are kind of an eyesore. He's got these chunks attached to the sides of his legs, though it's not really anything worse than what HasLab Unicron has, if we're being honest. And he's got this kind of wing thing on his back, but like, I don't know, when I'm looking at him like this, that kibble all just kind of fades away. Like, it's still there, but it just does not bother me at all. And really, my eyes just kind of focus on the proper G1 Bumblebee shape, and it looks great. If you ignore the kibble, I feel like this is one of the most G1 accurate mass retail release Bumblebee figures that we've gotten. Arguably, the updated Masterpiece 2.0 Bumblebee might be more show accurate, I don't know, but this is just incredible looking, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun to mess with. The transformation's really kind of weird, but in a really interesting way. He's surprisingly well articulated. I absolutely love this thing, and I do not mind admitting the fact that he's quite possibly going to end up in my top 10 of 2021 list at the end of the year. The year's not over yet, but he's on the list now. But anyway, that is going to do it for Buzzworthy Origin Bumblebee. What do you all think of this guy? I know this is probably the kind of figure where perception in videos and photos is going to be a little different than if you have him in hand, but I'm curious to know what you think, either if you've only seen videos and pictures of him, or if you do have him in hand. Whatever those may be, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. As usual, there is the Patreon, which you can check out if you want. No pressure, but it's there. Thank you everybody for watching, and remember, art is adorable and more than meets the eye.